Hey, and welcome back to JBC English Learning Academy. My name is Laura, and I'm here to guide you on your journey to clear, confident, and natural English. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you never miss a lesson. Your support truly helps this channel grow. All right, take a deep breath, relax, and let's begin today's session. We all know this feeling. This heavy and familiar rhythm of busy days, when the morning comes too fast and the night arrives too slow, and everything between those two moments feels like a long road we must walk without stopping, and as we walk this road, food becomes something we grab, something we choose without thinking, something we use to fill the empty spaces between work and responsibility. And sometimes we do not even taste it. We only swallow and move on, and this is the place where our story begins, here inside this busy rhythm, because today, in this slow and friendly lesson from JBC English Learning Academy, we are not learning English only with our minds, but also with our daily life, with our habits, with the small choices that build our days, and we are learning through a soft, calm, storytelling voice that invites us to reflect on something simple but important: how we eat when our life is full, how we treat our body when our mind is tired, and how we forget ourselves when everything seems urgent. We begin here with the simple truth that we all share. We are busy, maybe too busy sometimes, and this busy feeling sits on our shoulders like a quiet weight, pushing us forward, making us run from one moment to the next. And we look around and see other people running too, moving fast, thinking fast, eating fast, and we ask ourselves, is this normal? Is this the life we must live? Or is there another way? A slower and kinder way that still fits inside a busy schedule, a way that helps us feel stronger, calmer, and more balanced, even when the world around us is spinning. This question is the hook that opens the door to our journey today, because we are not only talking about healthy eating as a rule or a lesson, we are exploring it as a story, as a quiet message we often ignore, as something that calls us when we are too distracted to listen. As we keep walking through this narration, we start to understand the context of our daily life, how the alarm clock rings early in the morning, how we wake up with a mind full of tasks, how we reach for our phone even before we open our eyes fully, checking messages, checking plans, checking responsibilities, and then we move quickly to get ready, trying to prepare for a day that already feels full before it even begins. And somewhere in the middle of this morning rush, we face the simple question, what do we eat? But instead of choosing something nourishing, something gentle for the body, many of us choose the easiest path, the fastest path, the path that demands nothing from us, maybe a quick snack, maybe leftover food, maybe nothing at all. Because we tell ourselves we do not have time, and then the day continues, and time becomes something we chase, but never catch, and by lunchtime we are hungry, maybe too hungry, and when we are too hungry, we do not choose with care, we choose with urgency. Reaching for anything we can find, anything that fills the stomach quickly, anything that gives us energy for a short moment, and then later in the afternoon, when the stress grows and our mind becomes tired, we look for something sweet, something salty, something to comfort the heart even if it does not help the body, and by dinner we are exhausted, too exhausted to cook, too exhausted to prepare something good, and the cycle continues, day after day, until we begin to feel the quiet results. Low energy, heavy emotions, a tired body that asks for rest even when we cannot give it. This is the challenge we all face, this invisible but powerful challenge. How do we take care of ourselves when life itself feels like a long list of demands, when food becomes a last priority? When we tell ourselves again and again that we will start eating better next week or next month, or after work becomes easier, even though work never truly becomes easier and time never truly opens more space? The challenge is not only eating healthy food. The real challenge is changing the way we think when we are busy, changing the way we treat our body when our mind is focused on everything except ourselves. And so we begin to explore this challenge through slow, simple, gentle reflection, not with strict rules or complicated information, but with soft awareness, with calm curiosity, with the understanding that small changes can grow into big changes, that simple habits can slowly transform our life, and that healthy eating does not need to be difficult, expensive, or time-consuming. It only needs to be intentional, and intention is something we can create even inside a busy life. As we explore this idea, we picture ourselves moving through our day again, but this time with a different mindset, a different kind of awareness. We imagine waking up and pausing for a moment, just one small moment, before rushing into action, and in this moment we ask ourselves a simple question: what does my body need today? Not what is easiest, not what is fastest, but what will help me feel steady, what will give me energy that lasts, what will support my work instead of fighting against it. This question is small, but it is powerful because it brings our attention back to the present moment, back to our body, back to our own needs, and when we pay attention, even just for a few seconds, we begin to notice things we usually ignore. How thirsty we are, how empty our stomach feels, how much better our morning is when we eat something simple but nourishing. We begin to notice that healthy eating does not require complicated ingredients or perfect planning. It only requires awareness, kindness, and small choices. And as we continue reflecting, we realize something important. Busy people do not need more stress, more pressure, or more rules. They need solutions that feel soft, realistic, and friendly. They need habits that support them quietly, that do not require too much time, that fit naturally inside their day. This realization changes our perspective. Instead of thinking, I must eat healthy, we begin thinking, I want to feel better, and from this desire, healthy eating becomes not a duty but a gift, something that brings peace instead of pressure. We start to understand that food is not only fuel, it is a form of care, and even busy people deserve care, maybe especially busy people, because the body that works hard needs the most support. This realization leads us into transformation, a slow and gentle transformation, not a sudden dramatic change, but a quiet shift in the way we see our day. We begin to imagine new habits, small and simple ones, like preparing a quick breakfast at night, or choosing fruit instead of processed snacks, or drinking more water during work, or making one healthy meal on weekends to use during the week. We imagine these habits not as a burden, but as a comforting part of our routine, something that helps us feel grounded. And as we imagine this, the story inside us begins to change. We see ourselves not as someone too busy to eat well, but as someone who can create balance, someone who can take small steps that lead to better days, someone who can listen to their body even in the middle of chaos. Now, as we walk slowly to the end of this first section, we enter reflection. We look back at our busy life, at our automatic habits, at the way we usually treat food, and we ask ourselves, why do we rush so much, and what is the cost of this rushing? We realize that the cost is not small. It is our energy, our focus, our mood, our long-term health. And when we think about this, we understand that making space for healthy eating is not an extra task. It is a foundation, a support system that helps us live our busy life in a better way. We understand that healthy habits are not something we do when we have time. They are something that gives us time, because a well-fed body works better, moves better, thinks better. And this simple truth feels soft, but strong inside our mind, like a light turning on in a dark room. And so we reach the takeaway of Section 1, a gentle message that we carry with us into the next part of our journey. We are all busy, but busy people deserve care, and healthy eating is one of the simplest, clearest forms of self-care we can give ourselves. We do not need perfection. We do not need strict rules, and we do not need to change everything at once. We only need awareness, small steps, and a kind voice inside us that says, I want to take care of myself, even on the busiest days. This is where our story of healthy habits begins, not with complicated advice, but with a quiet intention, a little spark of desire to live better, feel better, and treat ourselves with kindness. And as we move into Section 2, we will continue this journey, learning how these small steps become real habits, how they grow inside a busy life, and how they slowly change the way we live each day. When we move into this second part of our long, gentle journey, we begin with a simple idea that many of us forget. Even though it lives quietly inside us every day, our body speaks to us, softly, in small ways. In ways we often ignore when life becomes busy, and in this section, we take time to learn how to listen again, slowly, calmly, without pressure, because understanding our body is the first real step toward healthy eating, especially for people who feel they have no time, no energy, and no space left in the day. So we begin with a hook, a soft question that pulls us deeper into reflection. When was the last time we listened to our hunger? Not just the loud hunger that appears when we skip meals, but the quiet hunger, the early signs. The signals that whisper to us before our stomach becomes empty and our energy becomes low. Many of us cannot remember because hunger has become something we manage, something we fight, something we distract ourselves from with work or tasks or stress, and we only pay attention when it becomes too strong to ignore, and by then, we choose food without thinking, without care. This is the moment where our story takes us back to ourselves, inviting us to notice what has been invisible for so long. We begin to understand the context of this habit by looking at a normal day, a simple busy day like the ones we all know too well. We wake up, our mind already full, our heart already preparing for everything we must do, and even before we drink water, before we stretch, before we breathe deeply, we begin moving fast. We dress quickly. We rush to work or school or responsibilities, and hunger becomes a background sound, something our body whispers, please, I need something, but we do not hear it clearly, because our attention is on noise, on tasks, on time pressure. The morning continues, and maybe we drink coffee, maybe we grab a small snack, maybe nothing at all, and our body continues sending signals. Small signals like light tiredness, a slower mind, a small pressure in the stomach, but we keep going. Because the day does not stop, and we tell ourselves, I will eat later. but later often arrives too late, and by then, hunger is no longer a whisper, it is a shout, a strong feeling that pushes us to eat something fast, something convenient, something that does not require preparation or effort. This pattern repeats itself through the day, through the week, through the month, until it becomes normal, and when something becomes normal, we stop questioning it, even if it does not help us live well. This is the challenge we face. How can we listen to our body again when our life is so loud, so busy, so full of interruptions? How do we recognize our needs when our mind is always running ahead? And as we explore this challenge, we discover something interesting. Our body does not only speak through hunger. It speaks through energy, through focus, through emotion, through comfort and discomfort. When we eat food that gives us slow, steady energy, our body feels light, calm, stable. When we eat food that is too heavy, too processed, or too fast, our body feels slow, tired, or tense. Our body also speaks through mood. We feel more patient, more present, more steady when we nourish ourselves well, and when we skip meals or eat too little, we become irritated more easily. We feel lost in our thoughts. We feel cravings that control our choices. This awareness opens a small window in our busy day, a window where we can pause and pay attention, even for a few seconds. We begin to explore the idea that healthy eating does not start in the kitchen. It starts in the mind, in our awareness, in the way we observe our body with kindness instead of judgment. As we explore this new awareness, we begin imagining ourselves moving through a busy day with a different kind of attention, not slow, not lazy, not unrealistic, but simply connected. We imagine waking up and noticing how our body feels. Do we feel tired? Do we feel thirsty? Is our stomach asking for something? And we imagine responding to these signals not with stress, but with acceptance. Maybe we drink a glass of water before anything else. Maybe we choose something simple for breakfast, like fruit, yogurt, oatmeal, or bread with something light. The food does not need to be perfect. It simply needs to be something that gives the body a starting point, a foundation, a soft beginning. We imagine going to work or school and paying attention again after 1 or 2 hours. How's our energy? Are we losing focus? Do we feel sleepy? If the answer is yes, maybe it is because our body needs fuel. And we begin to see how listening becomes a habit, a quiet habit that teaches us what we need and when we need it. This exploration leads to realization, the moment when something becomes clear in our heart. We realize that healthy eating for busy people is not about strict diets or long cooking sessions or complicated planning. It is about recognizing the signals before they become problems. It is about catching hunger while it is still small, like a small wave instead of a storm. It is about choosing food that supports our energy instead of damaging it. And this realization feels calming, because it tells us that we do not need to fight our busy life to eat better. We do not need to change everything at once. We only need to listen, and listening is something we can do anywhere, in the car, at the office, during a break, at home, during a walk. Listening does not require money, equipment, or time. It only requires presence. And as we continue reflecting, we begin to see a gentle transformation. We imagine a version of ourselves that listens to the body naturally, without effort. We imagine a life where hunger does not control us, but guides us. We imagine choosing food because it feels right, not because it is fast. We imagine feeling steady through the day, not jumping between energy highs and lows. This is not a dramatic transformation. It is a slow, soft, natural one. But sometimes the quietest transformations are the strongest. We begin to see how listening helps us eat less sugar, fewer processed foods, and more natural foods, because the body tells us what feels good and what does not. We start to see how listening helps us avoid overeating, because we stop when the body says enough, not when the plate is empty. We start to see how listening helps us control stress, because a well-fed body responds to life differently. We start to see how listening makes our day easier, not harder. In this moment of transformation, we feel something comforting inside us, something warm and gentle, as if we are finally becoming friends with our own body. For many of us, this is new. We are used to pushing the body, forcing it, ignoring it. But now we begin to treat it differently, like a partner that walks with us through the day. And this feeling brings us to reflection. We think about the moments in our life when we ignored hunger, when we felt dizzy or tired, when we ate too fast or too late, and we realize that these moments were signals, small messages our body tried to send us. We think about the times when we ate something we knew would make us feel heavy or sleepy, and we understand why our body reacted the way it did. We reflect on the times when we drank too little water, when our mind felt foggy, when our motivation disappeared, and we connect these moments to the simple truth that the body needs fuel, and the fuel we give it shapes our day more than we realize. This reflection leads us to the takeaway of Section 2, a clear and gentle message that we will carry with us as we move forward. Listening to our body is the foundation of healthy eating, and the more we listen, the easier healthy habits become. Listening is not a diet. Listening is not a rule. Listening is simply a form of respect, a way of saying, "My body works hard for me, so I will give it what it needs." And when we practice this awareness, even a little, our choices become softer, kinder, more natural. We begin to understand that our body is not an obstacle, it is a companion. It is not the enemy, it is the messenger. And when we listen to its signals, our busy life becomes easier, not harder, because a healthy body supports everything we do, our work, our focus, our relationships, our goals, our dreams. And so we gently reach the end of this second section, carrying with us a new sense of attention, a new sense of connection with ourselves. In the next section, we will learn something just as important: how to create small habits that stay with us, habits that fit into a busy schedule, habits that do not break when life becomes stressful. These habits will become the building blocks of our healthy eating journey, and step by step, they will help us transform our days in a soft and natural way. When we enter this third section of our long, soft journey, we begin with a hook that pulls us deeper into the story of our own daily life, because now that we have learned how to listen to our body, the next question rises naturally inside us like a small light. How do we turn this listening into action, into habits that stay with us, habits that feel easy, habits that support us even when our schedule becomes heavy and our days become stressful? This question is simple, but it is powerful, because habits are like invisible threads that connect our days together, and when those threads are strong and healthy, our life feels more stable, more calm, more balanced. And so we begin with this little hook, this quiet curiosity. What if small habits, not big changes, are the real secret to healthy eating for busy people? What if we have been trying to make huge changes for too long, and all we really needed were small steps that stay with us even when life moves fast. This thought opens the door to our exploration. To understand these habits, we must look again at the context of our daily life, because busy people live inside routines, some routines helpful, some routines harmful, and many routines automatic. We wake up at the same time, follow the same path to work, drink the same coffee, choose the same snacks, eat lunch at the same hour, and finish the day with the same tired choices, and we do this again and again until these actions become invisible. We are not even aware of them. And because they are invisible, they control us without us noticing. This is why small habits matter so much. They enter these invisible spaces, they sit quietly inside our routines, and they create change without force, without stress, without big decisions. When a habit becomes part of our rhythm, it stops feeling like work. It becomes something natural, something automatic, something that supports us without asking for time or effort. This is the magic of small habits, and this is the reason why we explore them so slowly and deeply in this section. But of course, the challenge appears quickly, because many of us believe habits must be big to be meaningful. We think healthy eating means preparing perfect meals, spending a lot of time in the kitchen, buying expensive ingredients, or following strict plans. These beliefs create pressure, and when we feel pressure, we often avoid the change we want. We tell ourselves, I am too busy, or I will start when I have more time, and the cycle continues. The challenge is not the habit itself. The challenge is our mindset. We think change must be dramatic, so we forget the power of small steps. We overlook habits as simple as drinking water when we wake up, carrying a healthy snack with us, eating breakfast instead of skipping it, or preparing one meal in advance. These habits seem too small to matter, but they're the ones that stay, the ones that grow, the ones that transform our day quietly. When we understand this, the challenge becomes softer, easier to face, less frightening. And so we begin exploring small habits gently, imagining how they fit inside our busy life without stress, without pressure. We imagine starting our day with one simple action, drinking water before anything else. This habit takes only a few seconds, but it wakes the body, supports the stomach, clears the mind, and reduces cravings throughout the day. We imagine another small habit, eating something light for breakfast, even if it is only fruit, yogurt, or a slice of whole grain bread. This habit takes 1 minute, but it gives us steady energy for hours. We imagine carrying a small snack, maybe nuts, maybe a banana, maybe a small container of cut-up vegetables, so that when hunger surprises us in the middle of a busy day, we have something ready. This habit takes 2 minutes of preparation, but it prevents fast, unhealthy choices later. And as we imagine these habits, we begin to see how small they truly are and how possible they feel, even for the busiest person. We realize we do not need to change our whole life. We only need to make little adjustments. As we continue our exploration, we find another habit that many busy people forget: preparing food in advance. Not every day, not all the time, but sometimes in small ways, in simple ways. We imagine preparing one meal on Sunday evening, something basic like rice, vegetables, or boiled eggs, and using it through the week when time is short. We imagine cutting fruit once and keeping it in containers. We imagine choosing one night per week to prepare something healthy for the next day. These are not big habits. These are not heavy tasks. They are small acts of preparation that save us from rushed choices, and when we think about them slowly, we realize they require less time and energy than we imagine. We realize the real difficulty is not the preparation. The real difficulty is the belief that preparation is too hard. When that belief becomes smaller, the habit becomes easier. And as we explore these habits, we enter realization again, the moment when something becomes clear in our heart. Healthy habits stay with us only when they feel easy, gentle, and natural. They do not come from pressure. They come from kindness. They do not come from perfection. They come from consistency. They do not come from big changes. They grow from small ones. And this realization feels like a warm, soft truth settling inside our mind, reminding us that we can take care of ourselves even when life feels heavy, that small habits are stronger than sudden diets, that gentle actions are more powerful than strict rules. This realization brings us to transformation, a gentle transformation that begins in the way we think about food. Instead of seeing food as something we grab when we are desperate, we begin seeing it as something we choose with intention. Instead of skipping meals because we are busy, we begin preparing small things that help us stay steady. Instead of eating quickly without tasting, we begin pausing for one moment, even just one quiet second, to breathe and notice what we are eating. We imagine a version of ourselves that feels more balanced, not because we follow a perfect plan, but because we follow simple habits that feel natural. We imagine a day where we choose a healthier snack because we prepared it. We imagine a day where we drink more water because we made it a habit. We imagine a day where we feel less tired because we ate regularly. This transformation is small, slow, and quiet, but it shapes our life in a deep way. And then comes reflection, the soft moment when we think back on our life and see the patterns clearly. We remember the days when we skipped meals and felt tired. We remember the days when we chose fast food because we were too hungry to think. We remember the evenings when we arrived home exhausted, realizing we did not take care of ourselves during the day. We think about how often we told ourselves, "I do not have time," and how this belief controlled our choices. And slowly, gently, we realize that small habits could have changed those days, even if only a little. We realize that our busy life was not the enemy. The enemy was the belief that change needed to be big. This reflection helps us see the power we have, the control we forgot, the options we ignored. And so we reach the takeaway of Section 3, a clear and comforting message that stays with us like a quiet friend. Small habits are stronger than big intentions, and when we choose simple habits that fit into our busy life, we build a foundation of health that carries us through even the hardest days. We do not need dramatic changes. We do not need perfect routines. We only need small actions that we repeat with kindness, with awareness, with patience. These habits become our support system, our anchor, our quiet helpers. They make busy days easier. They make our energy more stable. They help us feel connected to ourselves even when the world feels chaotic. And as we finish this section, we carry with us the calm knowledge that we can begin these habits anytime, even today, even now, with one small step. In the next section, we will explore something equally important: how to manage cravings and emotional eating gently, without judgment, without guilt, and without pressure. Because busy people not only struggle with time, they also struggle with stress, and stress affects the way we eat. In Section 4, we will learn how to understand these emotional patterns and how to respond with compassion and balance. When we enter this fourth section of our long, gentle journey, we step into a part of the story that many of us know very well, even if we rarely speak about it openly, because now we explore cravings and emotional eating, something that touches almost every busy person in a quiet, hidden way, something that sits behind our choices like a soft but powerful shadow. And as we begin this section, we start with a hook, a simple question that reaches inside our daily habits. Why do we sometimes eat when we are not hungry? And why do we sometimes crave foods that do not help us feel good, foods that give us comfort for a moment but leave us tired afterward? This question, gentle but honest, opens the door to something deeper, something emotional, something real, because cravings are not only about the body, they are about the heart, the mind, the stress we carry, the pressure we feel. And the moments when life becomes too heavy and we search for something to hold on to, something that makes us feel safe, even if only for a little while. To understand why cravings appear, we must look again at the context of our busy life, because busy people experience stress more often than they realize. We move fast, we think fast, we respond quickly to problems, and we carry many responsibilities on our shoulders, and in the middle of this pressure, our emotions build quietly, like water filling a cup drop by drop. We feel tired, but keep working. We feel worried, but keep moving. We feel overwhelmed, but keep saying, "I am fine." And the more we ignore our emotions, the stronger they become. At the same time, many of us do not have a moment to rest, breathe, or check how we feel, so the body finds another way to call for comfort: cravings. When we feel stressed, our brain looks for something that feels good immediately, something that gives us relief, something that feels easy. And food, especially sweet or salty food, gives a quick feeling of pleasure. It does not solve the stress, but it gives a moment of escape. And this is why cravings appear in busy lives, not because we lack discipline, but because we lack rest. Not because we are weak, but because we are tired. Not because we are doing something wrong, but because we are human. But as soon as we talk about cravings, the challenge appears. Many people feel guilty when they crave food. They feel ashamed when they eat emotionally. They believe they are doing something bad, something wrong, something they should hide. This guilt creates pressure, and this pressure creates more cravings, and the cycle grows stronger. The challenge is not the craving itself. The challenge is the guilt we attach to it. Healthy eating becomes difficult not because cravings exist, but because we judge ourselves for having them. And when we judge ourselves, we stop listening to our body and start fighting it. This fight creates more stress, and more stress creates more cravings. It is a circle that repeats over and over, and many busy people live inside this circle without knowing how to step out of it gently. This is why we explore cravings slowly, without judgment, with kindness, because the moment we treat cravings with understanding instead of guilt, everything begins to change. So we begin exploring cravings like a soft investigation, not with rules, but with curiosity. We imagine a moment when we are working hard, maybe at a computer, maybe in a meeting, maybe driving somewhere, and suddenly we want something sweet. We want chocolate or cookies or a snack we know does not give long-term energy. We ask ourselves, is this hunger or is this stress? And we listen to the answer. Sometimes it is hunger, and the body truly needs fuel. But sometimes it is emotion. Maybe we are tired. Maybe we are bored. Maybe we are overwhelmed. Maybe we feel lonely. Maybe we need a break. Cravings often point to something deeper than food. They point to a feeling. And when we look at cravings this way, we stop seeing them as the enemy and start seeing them as a message. They tell us something is out of balance, something inside us needs attention, not punishment. As we continue exploring, we imagine another common moment. After a long day, we arrive home, tired, maybe frustrated, maybe drained, and even if we are not very hungry, we reach for snacks, for chips, for ice cream, for anything that gives us a moment of comfort. This is emotional eating. It is not wrong. It is not a failure. It is simply a reaction the body has learned. Food means calm, food means rest, food means comfort. But the truth hidden inside this moment is simple. What we truly want is not the food. What we truly want is rest, peace, and connection. This realization is soft but powerful because it helps us understand the difference between emotional need and physical hunger. It helps us see cravings not as a sign of weakness, but as a signal that our emotions need care just as much as our body needs fuel. This brings us to realization, the moment when something becomes clear in our mind and heart. Cravings are not the problem. The problem is the stress, the exhaustion, the emotional pressure that lives inside our busy life. And if we learn how to respond to these emotions without using food as the only comfort, cravings become lighter, easier to understand, easier to manage. We realize that instead of fighting cravings, we can listen to them. Instead of feeling guilty, we can be curious. Instead of judging ourselves, we can comfort ourselves. When we treat cravings with kindness, their power decreases because cravings grow stronger when we avoid or suppress them, but they grow weaker when we understand them. This realization leads to transformation, a quiet transformation that begins in the way we respond to cravings. We imagine a moment when we feel a craving come, and instead of reacting immediately, we pause for 1 second, just one calm second, and ask ourselves gently, what is happening inside me right now? Maybe we feel tired and need rest. Maybe we feel anxious and need a break. Maybe we feel lonely and need connection. Maybe we feel overwhelmed and need to breathe. In this pause, the craving changes. It becomes softer. We imagine telling ourselves it is okay to feel this. It is okay to want comfort. And then we make a choice. Maybe we still eat the food we crave, but we eat it slowly, with awareness, without guilt. Or maybe we choose something else. Maybe we drink water, or stretch, or take a short walk, or breathe deeply, or talk to someone. And each time we respond with awareness and kindness, we build a new habit, a gentle habit that replaces emotional eating with emotional understanding. We imagine ourselves growing more skilled at this, more familiar with this pause, more comfortable with these questions, and slowly, cravings lose their control. They no longer guide our actions. They no longer push us into automatic eating. Instead, they become signals that help us understand ourselves better. We begin to see that stress makes us crave sugar. We begin to see that loneliness makes us crave comfort food. We begin to see that boredom makes us crave mindless snacking. And when we see these patterns clearly, we feel more calm, more in control, more connected to our emotions. This is the gentle transformation that comes from awareness, not from force. As we move toward reflection, we look back at all the moments in our life when cravings took over, when emotional eating felt heavy, when guilt followed us like a shadow. We remember the times we ate quickly, hiding from our own feelings. We remember the times we felt powerless around certain foods. We remember how often we blamed ourselves instead of understanding ourselves. And now, with this new awareness, we feel a soft sense of compassion for our past self. We see that we were not weak. We were simply tired. We see that we were not failing. We were simply searching for comfort. We see that we were not doing something wrong. We were doing the best we could with the tools we had. Finally, we reach the takeaway of Section 4, a warm message we carry into the next part of our journey. Cravings and emotional eating are not the enemy. They are messages from the body and the heart. They tell us when we are tired, stressed, lonely, or overwhelmed. When we listen to these messages with kindness, we gain control, not control through force, but control through understanding. And this gentle understanding is one of the strongest tools a busy person can have, because it helps us choose food with awareness, not with emotion. It helps us treat ourselves with compassion, not judgment. It helps us build a healthy relationship with food, one that supports us through stress, through long days, through difficult moments. And so we close this section with calm hearts, ready to move forward. In Section 5, we will explore something very practical and helpful: how to create simple, balanced meals for busy days, meals that require little time but give a lot of energy, meals that feel comforting and healthy at the same time. These ideas will help us take all our reflections and turn them into real actions. When we arrive at this fifth section of our long, gentle journey, we move from awareness and emotions into something more practical, more hands-on, something that fits directly into our daily life, because now we explore how to create simple, balanced meals even when we are busy, even when our time feels short, even when stress tries to take control, and we begin with a hook, a soft question that opens our curiosity. What if healthy meals do not need to be complicated, and what if the simplest meals are often the best for our body, our mind, and our busy schedule? This question is important because many people believe healthy eating requires effort, energy, creativity, long recipes, or perfect ingredients, and this belief stops them before they even begin. So we start this section by gently challenging that belief, showing ourselves that healthy meals can be simple, quick, and comforting, and that they can fit naturally inside our busy rhythm like small islands of peace. To understand how simple meals can work for us, we first look at the context of our eating patterns. Busy people often wait too long to eat, and then, when the hunger becomes strong, they choose food that is fast but not balanced. Fast food, fried food, snacks, sugary drinks. These choices are not made because we want them deeply. They are made because our body wants quick energy. And when we eat this kind of food, our energy goes up fast, but also drops fast, leaving us tired again soon afterward. This is one of the main reasons busy people feel exhausted during the day. It is not always the work. Sometimes it is the fuel. When we understand this, we begin to see why simple, balanced meals matter so much. They give us steady energy that lasts. They help the body stay strong, the mind stay clear, and the emotions stay stable. They are not complicated, but they make a big difference in how we feel. But even with this understanding, the challenge appears. Many people think, I do not have time to cook, or healthy meals are too difficult, or I cannot think about food when I am tired, and these thoughts create a wall between intention and action. They make healthy eating feel impossible, even when it is actually simple. The challenge is not the food. The challenge is the idea we have about food. We imagine healthy meals as something heavy, something requiring long preparation, something we must plan perfectly. But in truth, healthy meals for busy people can be very simple. They can be made in minutes. They can use basic ingredients. They can require almost no cooking. They can even be made the night before. The real challenge is changing the way we think about healthy eating, making it softer, more realistic, more friendly to our busy life. So we begin exploring how to create simple, balanced meals with ease, imagining ourselves in the middle of a busy week. We imagine a day when we only have a few minutes, and we picture a meal that is both healthy and fast, something like a bowl of vegetables, a piece of protein, and a simple grain. We imagine how easy it can be to take a handful of vegetables, fresh or frozen, and cook them quickly in a pan or microwave. We imagine how simple it is to add a source of protein like eggs, beans, tofu, or leftover chicken. We imagine completing the meal with something like rice, pasta, bread, or quinoa. This kind of meal takes 5 to 10 minutes, not an hour, and it gives steady energy that lasts through the day. We begin to understand that balance does not mean complexity. Balance means including a little bit of everything the body needs. We also explore the idea of creating meals that require almost no cooking at all. We imagine making a simple salad with fresh vegetables, fruit, nuts, or cheese, and adding something like canned beans or a boiled egg to make it more filling. We imagine preparing a sandwich with whole grain bread, avocado, vegetables, and a simple protein. We imagine making a bowl with yogurt, fruit, and seeds for breakfast or a light dinner. These meals are simple, but they nourish us in a deep way. They help our body feel steady, calm, and supported during busy hours. And when we see these possibilities clearly, we begin to realize that healthy meals are not out of reach for busy people. They are already within reach, waiting for us to choose them. As we explore these meals, we enter realization again, noticing a simple but important truth. Healthy eating does not require perfection. It only requires small decisions. The meals we imagine do not have to look beautiful. They do not need special ingredients. They do not need a recipe. They only need balance. A little fruit, a little vegetable, a little protein, a little grain, a little healthy fat. When these elements appear together, even in a very simple way, the body receives what it needs. And when the body receives what it needs, it functions better. Our energy becomes stable. Our mood becomes steady. Our productivity increases. Our stress becomes easier to manage. This is the hidden power of simple, balanced meals. They support the body quietly, like a friend walking beside us. This realization brings us into transformation as we imagine ourselves applying these ideas in everyday life. We imagine a morning when we choose a simple breakfast instead of skipping it. We imagine a workday when we bring a balanced lunch from home instead of buying something unhealthy at the last minute. We imagine an evening when we prepare something light instead of ordering fast food out of tiredness. And each of these small actions builds a foundation of health. They do not require more time. They require a little awareness, a little preparation, a little kindness toward ourselves. We imagine how these simple meals change the rhythm of our day. We imagine feeling stronger in the morning, more focused in the afternoon, more peaceful in the evening. We imagine having fewer cravings because balanced meals keep the body satisfied. We imagine feeling proud of ourselves, not because we followed a diet, but because we took care of ourselves with simple, realistic habits. Then comes reflection, a gentle moment when we think about our past relationship with food. We remember the times we told ourselves we had no time to eat healthy, the times we felt too tired to cook, the times we chose fast food because we felt it was the only option. We remember the times we felt guilty after eating something unhealthy. We remember the times we skipped meals and then felt weak or anxious later. And with this new understanding, we look back at those moments with compassion. We see that we were not lazy. We were not careless. We were simply busy. We did not have tools. We did not have simple ideas. We were doing the best we could. And now, with this knowledge, we feel more confident, more hopeful, more capable of choosing better meals without pressure or stress. As we reach the takeaway of Section 5, we carry with us a clear message. Simple meals are enough. Balanced meals do not need to be complicated. Healthy eating can fit inside even the busiest life when we choose small, quick, gentle actions. A handful of vegetables, a little protein, a simple grain. This can be a complete meal. Fruit with yogurt can be a breakfast. Nuts and vegetables can be a snack. A boiled egg with bread can be a fast dinner. Healthy eating does not need perfection. It needs balance. And balance is something we can create in minutes, not hours. This understanding helps us feel lighter, more prepared, more motivated to continue our journey. And as we gently close this section, we prepare to move into the final part of our story. In Section 6, we will explore how to bring all these ideas together, listening to our body, managing cravings, building small habits, and choosing simple meals into one complete lifestyle. A lifestyle that supports us through every busy day and becomes a natural part of who we are. It will be a soft, encouraging conclusion that helps us carry these lessons into our real life with confidence. When we enter this final section of our long journey together, we step into a place that feels calm, like the end of a long walk where the road becomes wider and the air becomes softer, because now we take everything we have learned, listening to our body, understanding cravings, creating small habits, choosing simple meals, and we bring it all together into one gentle lifestyle, a lifestyle that supports us every day, even when we are busy, even when life becomes heavy, even when our emotions rise and fall, and we begin with a hook, a soft question that invites us to reflect on everything at once. What if healthy eating for busy people is not about strict rules or perfect routines, but about living with awareness, with kindness, with balance, and with simple choices that become part of who we are? This question opens the doorway to this final exploration, reminding us that the journey is not about changing our life all at once, but about shaping our days slowly, softly, naturally. To understand how this lifestyle can grow, we must look again at the context of our life, the real life we live every day, full of deadlines, responsibilities, expectations, and emotions. We recognize that busy people live in constant motion, moving from one moment to the next like waves on the surface of the ocean. Some days feel calm, others feel stormy. Some days we feel strong, others we feel tired. And inside this changing rhythm, we need habits that do not break easily, habits that stay with us, habits that support us even when we are at our busiest. This is why we return to the idea that healthy eating must be simple. It must fit inside the real life we have, not the imaginary life we wish we had. It must be flexible, forgiving, and gentle. And when we understand this, we begin to see how everything we have learned fits together like small pieces of a puzzle, creating a picture of balance. But even with this understanding, the challenge appears because life will never stop being busy. There will always be days when we wake up late, days when we skip meals without meaning to, days when stress becomes too heavy, days when cravings feel stronger than our self-control. And in these moments, many people fall back into old patterns because they think healthy eating means being perfect all the time. This belief creates pressure, and pressure breaks habits. The real challenge is learning how to stay gentle with ourselves in these difficult moments, how to return to balance without guilt, how to see mistakes not as failures, but as part of the journey. This mindset shift is important because a lifestyle is not built in one day. It is built over time, through small decisions we repeat again and again. So we begin exploring how to live this balanced lifestyle in a soft, realistic way. We imagine a typical week in our life, full of meetings, tasks, family responsibilities, or study commitments. We imagine the moments when we listen to our body, the moments when we drink water before coffee, the moments when we choose a simple breakfast, the moments when we take a short pause before responding to a craving, the moments when we choose a healthy snack just because it is there, ready, waiting for us. These moments are small, but they are meaningful. They are the building blocks of a balanced lifestyle. And we imagine how these moments slowly become part of our routine, part of our rhythm, part of the way we move through the day. We explore the idea that a balanced lifestyle does not require us to eat healthy all the time. It only asks us to eat healthy most of the time. It invites us to create a foundation, a base, a steady structure of good habits. And when this structure is strong, occasional treats or less healthy choices do not break it. They become part of life, part of balance, part of joy. We imagine ourselves eating mindfully, even when the meal is simple. We imagine enjoying food without fear or guilt. We imagine choosing foods that nourish us because we want to, not because we feel forced. This is the heart of a balanced lifestyle. Freedom with awareness. Choice with kindness. Eating with intention, not with stress. As we explore these ideas, we enter realization again. We realize that the lifestyle we are building is not only about food. It is about awareness. It is about self-care. It is about understanding our needs. It is about learning how to rest, how to pause, how to breathe, how to honor our body even when life feels chaotic. We realize that healthy eating is only one part of a bigger picture, and this picture includes sleep, stress management, hydration, movement, and emotional balance. We realize that everything is connected. When we sleep better, we crave less sugar. When we manage stress gently, we eat with more awareness. When we drink more water, we feel more calm and energized. When we slow down for a moment each day, we listen to our body more clearly. This realization reminds us that a balanced lifestyle is not one thing, it is many small things working together in harmony. This realization brings us into transformation, a gentle transformation that begins deep inside our mindset. We begin to imagine ourselves living with more balance, more steadiness, more clarity. We imagine waking up and feeling connected to our body instead of feeling disconnected or rushed. We imagine making small, healthy choices naturally, without pressure, without stress. We imagine buying healthier ingredients because we want to feel good, not because we feel guilty. We imagine noticing when a craving appears and responding with understanding. We imagine using simple meals to support our energy on busy days. And we imagine forgiving ourselves when things do not go perfectly. This forgiveness is part of the transformation. It makes space for progress. It makes space for growth. It makes space for a lifestyle that lasts. And then we reach reflection, a soft and beautiful moment when we look back at the beginning of this journey, at the first section, at the moment we felt overwhelmed by our busy days and our unhealthy habits. We reflect on all the moments when we ate too fast, skipped meals, or chose food without thinking. We reflect on the moments when cravings controlled us, when emotional eating felt heavy, when guilt followed us. We reflect on the times we felt we had no time, no energy, no space to eat well. And now, as we look back with new understanding, we feel compassion for our past self. We feel gratitude for the insight we have gained. We feel proud of the small steps we are ready to take. We understand that we do not need to be perfect. We only need to be aware. We understand that we do not need to change everything. We only need to change something. And we understand that this journey is not ending here. It is only beginning. And finally, we reach the gentle takeaway, the soft message that closes our long story with warmth and clarity. A balanced lifestyle for busy people is built with small choices, not big leaps. It grows from awareness, from kindness, from listening. It develops through simple meals, gentle habits, and emotional understanding. It feels natural when we allow ourselves to be imperfect. It becomes strong when we repeat small steps with patience. And it becomes a part of us when we recognize that we deserve care, even on our busiest days. Healthy eating is not a punishment. It is not a rule. It is not a difficult task. It is an act of love, an act of support, an act of respect for the body that carries us through every moment of our life. And so we complete this long, cinematic, reflective journey together here at JBC English Learning Academy with calm hearts and clear minds. We walk forward into our days with a new understanding that health is built with kindness, not pressure, with awareness, not perfection, with small steps, not giant jumps. And every time we choose a gentle habit, every time we listen to our body, every time we treat ourselves with compassion, we create a healthier, happier, more balanced life, one slow, simple, beautiful step at a time.